Oh, Foxy, it's your birthday. Not for real, real, just for play, play. This is Cree Summer, and Moana Nui will be right back.
Aloha mai kako, everyone. Welcome to this evening's episode of the Moana Nui podcast. My name is Moana McAdams, and I am the founder of our show. Really excited to be back with you all tonight. I am just returning from a much needed vacation at home in Hawaii. Um, a little bit of suntan, which is always nice. Wish I could have gotten a little bit more. But sometimes you just can't do that. But the good thing is that we got a lot of good relaxation and family time in. Um, and reconnected, with our family, our land, and just got a whole lot of inspiration to continue the creative work that we do here on the Moana Nui podcast, as well as through our children's book series, The Adventures of Nakoa and Nohea. For those of you who have not heard of those yet, you can check us out, moanamcadams.com, and there are links to all of our creative projects there. Today is June 20th, so I have to quickly spotlight our latest product release that came out on Amazon. And for those of you who have been following me, you all may know that I am currently working on the Disney's Lilo and Stitch comic book series. And today they released this awesome hardcover trade collection. So this is issues 1 to 4. Great comic book series that picks up right after the Lilo and Stitch movie that was released in 2000. And right there's the proof. There's my name. There I am. But the art in here is beautiful. And I definitely, if you have kids, this is an all ages book. So even if you're not a kid, if you're just a kid at heart, I definitely encourage you guys to check this out. It's a great story. And right here, Ohana, which is our word for family. Check it out. It's on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, all the big book distributors. Check it out. Support the book and let us know what you think. I'm curious to hear how our readers are enjoying it and maybe some things you would like to see in the future because the series is ongoing. I'll be working on the project through the rest of the year. So thank you all for the support so far and look forward to creating more for you all. All right, so back to tonight's episode. We are here on Wednesday, and it is our CAPAW monthly segment. Tonight's topic is an exciting one. It is the AI revolution, navigating technology's impact in your career. So I know in the creative spaces where I operate AI, there are very strong opinions on both sides. Personally, I can see both sides. I use it as a creator to generate ideas and to do a lot of practical things here on the podcast. It helps me save time, be more productive, and have that balance so that I can also spend time with my family and feel like I am, feeding both sides of my life. So I'm excited about the topic and really looking forward to our guest tonight. I am going to bring on Sue Ann, who is our wonderful host, the CEO of CAPAW. Welcome, Sue Ann.
Hello, and congratulations on the new series. That's so exciting.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It is exciting, and it's great to see you tonight. Our guest, she is like an AI expert. I met her at the Women of Color conference earlier this year and really enjoyed her talk as someone who leverages AI, but also to help others see how you could leverage it too. And hopefully, by the time you guys listen to this episode, hopefully you won't be as intimidated and might take away a couple ways that you might leverage AI. If you don't know that you're already using it in your life, you may not know it because it's built into a lot of the products that we use today. So our guest tonight is Xiaojing Wang. She is a distinguished engineer, and she's responsible for combining ADP's rich HCM data with cutting-edge technologies in big data, machine learning, predictive analytics, and generative AI to create next generation data products. Her team develops the award-winning benchmark product, a data-driven, human knowledge-driven skills graph and state-of-the-art ML ops platform. Prior to joining ADP, Xiaojing was principal consultant for Intellogic, advising clients ranging from startups to established financial companies on data product strategies and data architecture. Prior to that, she spent 10 years in CNET, leading a team building its enterprise data warehouse and business intelligence infrastructure. She created the first revenue generating data product and led the development of the first terabyte advertising data mart, enabling advanced ad delivery and optimization. I love this. So, like as a woman in STEM myself, it is always a pleasure to be amongst other experts. So let's welcome Xiaojing to the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Moana.
Yes.
Congratulations and hi, Suen.
Hello,
having me.
welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes. So Suen, I'm going to hand it over to you. Everybody, if you're watching us tonight live, please feel free to ask questions in the comments, engage with our show. We always welcome that. So with that said, Suen, over to you.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, Xiaojing, I know that for me, when I looked at your resume, I mean, it's incredible. But I am really interested in your background, your heritage, and just kind of your, how you grew up and what influenced you.
Yeah, so I grew up in China, a small town near Shanghai. Both my parents, they're math professor. So from very beginning, I sort of know that I'm not good at math because there's so many math geniuses in my family, right? I came to US after I got my bachelor in China. And so obviously for some reason, I picked computer science, even though I never seen computer. I just picked it because it sounds cool. And I in the beginning, I thought I wasn't good at it because the thing is like you got to talk to machine essentially in the language that only machine can understand. And you're like, it's not human language. Like, so I keep making mistake. Anyway, so after I got my master's degree, I decided to stay here. And that's where my career started. But AI from very beginning, even at the time when I was in school, there's a talk about AI. Obviously, back then it's just two words: artificial intelligence. Nobody know what it is, and I thought it's fascinating. But I have never imagined now it is reality.
Well, for somebody who didn't know how to use a computer, the fact that your bio on your LinkedIn starts with technologist and innovator, machine learning, data science, and data knowledge, I'm like, oh, you've come an absolute long way, obviously.
Yeah.
So why data space? How did that happen? Yes, computers is one thing, but you're in the data space. How did you get there?
I got my early job just do programming, and then I joined an internet company, and they asked me for originally because I program, and originally they asked me to do search, and then there's one is a search is option, another is business intelligence, and I always fascinated about business intelligence. And then I was like, that's interesting. So I want to do that instead of search because I back then I feel like I know search. It's just so I want to try something I don't know, but I don't know about business intelligence. So I start there, and then in the internet world, business intelligence really is about data. How do you capture data? How you process data? How you extract value out of it, which means turn that into revenue.
Yeah.
So that's why I started, in this space. And fortunately, this space is so connected to, well, so in the beginning, you hear business intelligence, it has intelligence on the name. But back then, it's not much intelligence. It just extracts some pretty straightforward, more like analytics.
Okay.
But then as things evolve, it become, intelligence. Now it's AI. So,
well, what I'm hearing you say is basically you're turning raw data into information that you can actually make decisions on, really.
yes, exactly.
And that's really the crux of what it is when you're talking about business intelligence. I am curious too, as you have done this work in initially, obviously as business intelligence, but evolving to AI. How did you evolve then into the AI space specifically? And then can you explain to the audience what is, in the most plain terms, how would you define what is AI?
Yeah, that's a very hard question. But I actually grew up with this trend. I can tell you, in the beginning, my early career is really about just collect the data. But then remember that's in the internet space. Suddenly, we didn't even realize we got so much data. Why? Because every web page we created, every day, I remember back then, the traffic keep increasing because people keep going to the internet, right? And then in the end, we have 5 billion page view every day, just one day. So suddenly you have to ask the question, then what do you do with it, right? And what value you can create out of it? Because it's sort of like ocean, but you can observe a lot of patterns.
Yeah.
And those patterns is so valuable for business.
Right. So one of the things that, as a person who may be just learning about AI, somebody who's just starting out, you hear a lot about Chat GPT. What are some examples of how, on an everyday basis, people are using artificial intelligence?
I can tell you it's almost everywhere. First of all, nowadays every place we go, first thing you do is what? Google Map.
Mm-hmm.
So Google Map to figure out where you are and estimate how long it takes to you to get there, which route you take. It is all machine learning in behind the scene. Now, people will differentiate. There's a certain thing we differentiate between machine learning and AI, but the key differentiator is that the way you see the direction is announced. It's actually it's not a real human voice. It's generated. So now we just call this kind of thing our artificial intelligence. But in the back, really, technology-wise, there's no difference,
So basically, it's learning. The data is being fed. It's learning and it's evolving. Yes.
So basically, it's any sort of a human, like voice or language or our image, are generated as not real. That is called artificial intelligence. Now, as a regular person, I would suggest don't try to differentiate, but you got to know very well what could be generated. I tell you why. Everybody have a bank account, and for a while they're pushing for voice authentication.
Mm-hmm.
I said no. You know why? Because now voice can be easily mimicked and generated.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you don't want people just they can generate heard your voice and generate it and then get through to your bank account. So I think, yeah. So I think it's key thing is you got to know in your life what sort of thing can be artificially generated.
One of the things that when you were at the Women of Color conference, I remember you were talking about the fact that AI is great for doing like maybe repetitive tasks that you can assign that can do it faster or whatnot. But can you talk a little bit too about what are some things that at this point AIs cannot do versus humans? And do you see that evolving in the future, like whether it's emotions or, empathy, things like that?
Yeah. I actually think right now the AI is still very, very limited. For example, the understanding, the perception, the understanding of image. I give you some. Well, the autonomous car, right? They are trying to identify those objects. It's still at a very rough level. There's no details it can understand, and then the perception is still, they get a lot of things wrong, relative position of that. Not to say obviously they couldn't. There are people are trying to create software to capture human emotion. For example, like when we were talking, they're trying to say, hey, are we friendly with each other, or are we somebody get discouraged or mad or some, based on the both the tone of the voice and the expression. So their software, they try to capture that, but still at a very rough level. Yeah, so I think I would say, basically the trade, the things you need human, the hand skill, those type of things are not good. They're not very good. Understand human, having a full context. For example, like say, Suan, we met twice, we talked to each other. I sort of start understand, right? You in terms of personality, how well we talk to each other. A lot more machine couldn't do that, right? They couldn't do that. So yeah, so I would say, I would say there's a lot, but there's a lot of things they can do very, very quickly, very well. That's why I always think nowadays it's very important for we human being really understand ourselves.
Absolutely. So, curious about biases that goes into AI. Can you talk a little bit about how that plays out in terms of, is there biases like racially, gender wise? What's your thought around the biases?
So I can tell you generically, anything in terms of volume that is easy for us to capture the data about certain things, then AI just naturally bias towards higher, anything object with higher quantity. So you can imagine, right? But I think right now people already start realizing that. And when they construct the algorithm, they're a lot more conscious about using balanced data, because you can even artificially generate data. So not to say it's the same thing, but you can use that to balance a little bit. But I would still say anything you're guessing to say, well, it's very hard to gather a lot of data about certain aspect of things, then you know that you cannot trust machine. You cannot trust, or AI. You better use your own judgment.
And that's a great point in terms of the judgment doesn't go away,
Exactly.
right? That's the thing, is you can't just let AI dictate everything. You've still got to put your input and your judgment to make sure that it's doing what it needs to do.
Yeah, and then I want to mention one question you mentioned early on is like, human, we always proud certain type of a book intelligence, right? This person is good at math, at the physics. All those are logic. The logic machine eventually going to be so good, we can't beat them. But there's one thing that machine doesn't have is human awareness. That's the part. That's something I think we really have to keep that, and because that's our saving grace, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, another big topic that I wondered about was around security, privacy. Can you speak to that, especially working for a large organization like ADP?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the key factors and concerns, and how are you addressing that?
I want to say we are ADP doing a great job, right? We are making sure whatever algorithm we are trained, there's no personal data in it. It's the data we use all aggregated. And then there's no, so you cannot possibly to run that and derive any individual data or any company data out of it. And that's another thing is nowadays there's so many in generative AI. When you ask questions, when you interact with those tools, you also individual and company, you got to make sure that does that question itself contain your own personal information, right? And then does it sort of indirectly can bring in some result that's I would call it insensitive to either individual or the company. So that's you really have to be very conscious about that to model what you feed to the machine and what come back, what's come out of it.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's
okay. So, one of the things too that I was curious about is that the 2024 World Economic Forum in Switzerland in January talked about, I think they had like 15, 16 topics on AI. And what was interesting is they talked about AI as a driving force for the economy and society in one of its four themes. One was security and cooperation in a fractured world. Second was growth and jobs for the new era, which is the question I wanted to ask you about. AI as a driving force and long-term strategy for climate, nature, and energy. So I'm curious, I mean, beyond the obvious types of jobs around AI, what do you anticipate could be, in terms of new jobs created or things that to be considered? What kind of career can be in the AI space?
I'm not a genius on this side, so I'm going to venture out a little bit. I actually feel that there's one type of job is going to be very popular soon. I feel is teaching machine. Remember what I said, and teaching machine what you're gonna ask. See, there's many industry, right? Healthcare industry and you name it, a wide range of industry. For each industry, there are certain domain knowledge human already created. Machine doesn't have it, and some knowledge are not well captured in the image or document either, right? And so how to organize those information, and machine can start learn how to do those kind of job. And first then you need a human expert to give machine feedback so they can learn those things. So I'm guessing there's a lot of a career coming out of that. This itself is a wide range. For example, there's a robotic, right? It's not AI, but they are trying to teach robot to do certain things, and then you need human to guide them, to guide this learning, because machine can learn very quickly, but you got to feed them to say, yes, this you did right. No, this you got to move a little bit further or something, right? So provide feedback to machine I think it's going to be a job that's going to be needed.
I would imagine there's gonna be a whole field of jobs that we don't even know about yet.
Yes.
It's going to open up depending on where we go with AI. I feel like too, for somebody who maybe hasn't dipped their toe in the water in AI, what is a good practical way to get started or try things without being so fearful, maybe?
Yeah. I always think about that because, see, I don't know, you guys heard it, like they're saying, you can think of AI just like an intern, or I think it's actually good. You imagine AI is sort of a type of a human that's they are somehow different from us, but they are also similar to us. You got to learn by interact with them. So I feel this is the number one thing, because you got to understand what they can do and how you can interact with them, wide range of things. I think that's number one. And but by imagining it's a human, you're less intimidated. It's not like you got to program or anything. Just interact with them.
What
Right?
are some of the practical applications? I mentioned obviously ChatGPT as one that I've heard many people use. What are some other ones that people could maybe try out or experiment with?
I actually what I use is ChatGPT and Google's Gemini equivalent, and cloud, those things. But I really feel, now there's a lot of application are created on top of it. I would suggest anything that's in your domain, you should try it. For example, you can already use apps to generate music, generate text is obvious, generate image. You can generate image for your blogs, and even not pretty soon generate short video. We already can do that, right? So I would say this is a wide range of application. By the way, also every day there's new application come out. I can't even track. And for example, like there are application, Phantom is one very good, that can log your video call, and then generate summarization, and then send email, summarize your meeting, generate the summarized notes. So those are really, really good. So I think anything you can, anything you can put your hands on, you should try it. I feel like you should try just to give AI probably 1 hour a week. Just pick up anything you can get to play, and that will be, very, very useful.
Moana said that she loves her AI summaries. So from again, like an assistant function, right?
Yes, and that's why. Do you guys hear? They were talking about one person company. It's literally you can say, AI, this agent to do this type of work for me, that to do that type of work. Essentially, one person, you become the conductor of your agent, all your AI agent. So it's actually possible. Somebody, certainly, I think this is a little bit crazy. Like you can have one person $1 billion company.
I love the fact that you're a conductor of your AI orchestra.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. So as a company that is very heavily in this space, how are the different sectors connected in the work? Like, do you ever collaborate with other sectors, or do you ever do anything, or any type of collaboration to evolve AI in different spaces? Like, how is it, how do you do that?
I can tell you honestly, right now it's still in the discovery stage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though we collaborate with all the big vendors, small vendor, but majority our activity is still trying to figure out how we can make use of it, how we can monetize it. It's a huge exploratory space. And in fact, when we create product, we don't know how our users would react to those. So that's also it's an experiment. We always put out features like little by little to get feedback, and then improve, adjust, and pivot that way.
Now, as a company, and I've asked a little bit about the security and like firewalls, especially from a company perspective. What are some of the key things that you're thinking about as you're kind of it's almost like you have to be a little bit permeable, but you got to have boundaries. So what are some of those things that you're thinking about?
I can tell you how we change things. Like, used to be security is one factor you consider afterwards. Now it's like you have to, when you start designing a product, you need to think about security. Because right, we also use AI now. You first we need to consider what security we have around the data, and then second is what security around after we process data, when we transfer the data, whether there's any risk, right? And then we evaluate how secure it is when we interact with AI model, with those models, and what the risk it poses when the data goes into those into the machine, and when the result come out of the model. So it's like literally every step of when we create a product, we have to think about security.
So are there, when you talk about, or by the way, do you have patents at all?
Yes, we have a lot.
Around AI?
I have, and also ADP has. So like the company, we file patent on the certain area that's critical for our business.
I love that. Again, you're in the innovative space, so I'm always curious. What is it that you think, if you want to be, for those out there who want to be in machine learning, or if they want to be in this space, what are some critical skill sets or competencies that you have to have?
The skills, I think number one is you got to be very comfortable with machine. So what that means is, so that means number one is when you nowadays, right, you use computer to do all sorts of things. You need to consciously understand the basics. For example, the network, the language, program language. If you don't like them, there's application allow you to start build application without knowing a whole lot of programming language. So what I mean is that it's okay you don't understand programming language, but you still have to love working with computer. So And on top of that, obviously, if you're willing to learn the programming language, that's huge help. If you're good with math, you understand the math, that's important. Especially if I can narrow down its probability, statistics and the probability in that you should know. Then I really think you should really learn a lot of history, liberal arts, so that you can you understand human. I think that's very important, and you can express clearly, write well.
I just find that ironic. You said understand human, deeply, and then I'm thinking for machine learning. Like, it's so ironic.
Yes, because I actually think just because AI suddenly becomes so popular, all the people feel threatened, like, oh, what's our value of us, like thinking about it. When if there's a people for people whose job being replaced by machine, how do you think what you're gonna do, right? So I really think you got to really think about we human being, our value. And yeah, so suddenly I feel like I told my sister son, like, I think you should combine computer science with philosophy.
And a little bit of HR.
No HR. I don't know about that.
No, I was thinking about using it, like as a leader, when you're doing like performance evaluations and different things. I'm like, how would an AI help me, to do some of these things that, it's that, more judgment, critical thinking, observations. It just makes me think about the different spaces that AI could be in and what it would take.
It's funny you mentioned, because I'm doing a project, right? Is because I'm in HR domain, right? And we always thinking, how can we improve humans' productivity? I say human employees' productivity. Yes, and you think about it, what is it? Like, is it just a quick? You can solve, more problem within an hour, or something else? How we can really support human employee emotionally. And yeah, I think it's a big topic.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, as you mentioned that, with the pandemic and the fact that I'm hearing more than ever about things like mental wellness.
Yes.
And things of that nature where, people need more support.
Exactly.
And so how does that play into some of the needs, right,
Yes.
if we continue this work?
Yeah, and being able to identify, to say at what time, what kind of support individual needs, right? And we used to be, yes, we have leave and we have benefit, but managing all those are very hard. How can we say, yeah, if this is an employee, soon to be a parents, what kind of support they need? We proactively provide them that.
Yeah.
If we see somebody in the edge of a burnout, how do we, provide support? So what kind of support they need? So I think there's a lot of the things we should think about, and that's why being in a HR domain in AI era, it's very interesting, very challenging.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's not about logic.
No,
So
that's why it's not logic.
That's one of my favorite lines. It's like, it is not always about logic, and people always look at me with a blank stare, but it's true.
It is. Yeah. And this is now I getting older, I realize that more. It used to be, what do you mean? 1 + 1 is equal to 2. That's the logic, that's the truth. But it's not about that, right? It's
right.
Not about that.
That's the easier problem to solve.
Exactly. And I always say, when we have a team, you want 1 + 1 greater than 2. Yeah. How do you make that happen?
Yeah. It's called discretionary effort.
Exactly.
And that is, I go back to things like, my supervisor cares about me. I have a best friend at work. These are things that are not, this is people things. These are human.
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's going to make me give that additional effort that you can't measure necessarily,
Yes.
but it's going to increase my productivity or what I give to the company that is not about machines. So I think this is going to be the challenge. How do you balance all those things?
That's why when people ask, you say, "Oh, this machine is very powerful," and I feel humans, we are, if we know ourselves, we can be very, very powerful, more powerful than we realize. And I really think that our generation or our next generation, our kids' generation, they need to really understand that and believe that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious in terms of the, right now you talked about this is a discovery phase right now.
Yeah.
Is there enough information that we're gathering now that do you think in the next year or two that, what'll be that next iteration or whatever the next step is? Kind of what do you see as what's coming? What is coming for us as we continue to evolve in the AI space?
I really think, yeah, I mean, you guys can feel it in terms of what OpenAI can release, right? The algorithm just every 6 months, it improves so much. I see, and then now it started with text and then image and then the sound. I think all this in all those areas is going to be rapidly evolve. Things going to go so much better. And then so what I feel is going to happen in the next 2-3 years is going to be, you see a lot more application, very good application deployed into the production and people using it. So I don't know what next, but I feel like people have to really prepare for a lot of changes happen a lot faster in the coming years. And how you I think the prepare I meant is both mentally prepare that, also you got to plan out, right, how you're going to deal with, let's say, how do you treat your career when there's a sudden sort of changes happen, like what do you do with it? So I think I really think mentally prepare is very, very important. And I think I'm sure there are more surprises that we don't even know of will come out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
From a perspective of even the older generation who may or may not be versed in computers, I'm curious on how they will evolve with AI, because some of the senior caregiving could be AI related, right? In the way that delivery method is in the healthcare industry. I'm just curious on what that could look like, because when you're chatting with somebody online, even like if you're trying to get assistance, that's probably AI.
Yeah.
So how do we, like, even for our seniors, our, most vulnerable population needing service, how do you see that helping them to make things easier?
My dad has Parkinson, so I actually feel that if this space we have more AI, that'd be helpful, because obviously we see there's not enough people can take care of them, right? So in that area, I actually think it's really good if we have more, but I think it's a complicated problem, because to get everything can be fully automated, it's not easy. I mean, I know it takes, so hopefully there's more resource are put in I mentioned earlier, is human train the machine to be more better at not only know their fixed need, for example, give them the medicine, all that, but also truly learn a little bit, sense their need, and then give it them. And
It's like anticipating, like almost anticipating.
It's basic, be able to collect the signals they send.
Okay.
The captured, right? So because think about it, if you not only the machine need to collect the image, the video, because with video they can do analysis, say, oh, if he's getting worse, or right, he needs something, and the voice. Yeah. So basically good at getting better at collect all those signals from human, and then being say, oh, these signals are I should do those action, either call nurse or alert family or something, right? So this is just this domain itself, there's a whole lot of things to do.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the amount of data that needs to be collected for all this machine learning. That is absolutely mind-boggling.
Yes.
So I can't even imagine what that federated data warehouse is going to look like with all this collection of data needed for, because you're saying the more data is collected, the better.
Yes, because the fact, you see, we're human. Like when I talk to you, everything I sense from you is all just rapidly processed, right? it's a lot of signals,
That's true.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. Machine needs signal to process. Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah.
So as we think about these different spaces around even our consumer side of it, they were talking about increase in probably business and other areas, and I'm thinking specifically small businesses as an example. Like I see where that could really help a small business owner, especially when you talked about the $1 billion sole proprietor, basically.
Yeah.
What are some things that you think could help a small business owner today? That could be that. Maybe what are a couple of things that they could be using AI for?
Yeah, I think Moana talk about, right? I think, right, the basically to meeting notes, summarize it, and being able to, for example, I do like I don't have time to when I don't have time to read in the car, being able to listen to the articles, right? All those, and I think for small business, in all the area that you need marketing, those for sure there's a lot more choices. If it's not directly AI, but being able to work with somebody who's expert in this, so they can actually use AI to do things quicker, cheaper for you. That you got to aware. For example, I know right now it's a lot cheaper to generate a campaign. Let's say you need to do advertise something in some event or something, right? And used to be you have to spend, like, I'm just making, I don't know how much, like $5,000 for them to produce some sort of promotion for you in a conference or something. Now use AI, it's literally $500, right? So you got to know those choices. I know, like also in the promotion, in the writing, how do you generate content that promote your business? And you don't have to write those blogs, but how do you leverage a service can write those for you cheaply? And how do you personalize? And for example, if you're a designer, you know that, and if you want to design more personalized options for your client, you don't have to think hard. I mean, you got to think hard, but you can actually leverage AI to interact with them, give you a variety of ideas quickly. Then used to take you a whole day. Now you can take your 1 hour to generate one new design, something.
Oh
like
my gosh, that's huge.
Yeah. So there's a that's why I say you need to just to listen to, right, to see what's available to you.
Can we have an AI avatar of ourselves?
Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
it look realistic and act realistic if I put enough
And-
data
and-
in there?
Yeah, you can in fact you can ask to ask the ChatGPT or the Google. They all have this option. You can describe and they generate avatar or anything for you.
I think I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah.
I might scare myself though.
And then you can say, create my music for me. Like I want my music.
No, yeah, create Sue-Ann's playlist.
Well, that they can do.
Yes.
That they can do relatively easy.
But you're talking about actually original creation.
Like basically, I'm talking about Sue-Ann song, like a song of Sue-Ann or something.
Yes, my theme song. Thank
Yeah.
you. My marching song.
Exactly.
That's so awesome.
Yes.
That's
yes.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask, just from a personal note, you and I were talking earlier that you really don't have time to take any, vacations or anything like that for self-care for the next few months. You've got a big release coming in September. How do you take care of yourself? What are things that you're doing?
Yeah. I meditate. Yeah, because
I'm too busy to meditate.
No. I have to because during the day, I have to think a lot.
Yeah.
I have to think for human and feel for machine. So I feel that I need the time to really reset my brain.
Yeah.
So I actually, even though I say I don't have time to take a vacation, to me, I take mini vacation every week because I need extended time to really reset my brain. Otherwise it get burned soon, So the way I do is I definitely meditate every day. And then during weekend, I always make sure I have extended time. I will do hiking, and
Nice.
and I don't listen to anything while I walk.
Oh, okay.
So I can
Present.
Yes.
You're present in the moment.
Yes. And I listen to the bird or listen to the leaves, but not. Yeah.
I always say, like, reading the tea leaves, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's very important because, like I said, I've never heard so much around, especially in the AA and HPI culture, around mental wellness. And I think there was, a time where I feel like our, maybe the older generation, they felt ashamed talking about it. And the fact that it wasn't necessarily socially appropriate, but now I feel like things are different, where it's okay to talk about it more and to be able to say, hey, I need a mental wellness day or something to take care of myself because I can't keep going like this.
Yeah. I feel like I don't even talk about it. Just go ahead, take care of yourself first and do it. Right. And that's most important thing,
Absolutely.
to maintain a healthy you. Yeah. So
Absolutely. So, so many different things that we talked about over the last hour. Can you believe we're already at 6 minutes left?
Hey.
But I was curious if you were to recommend, let's say, the top 2 things that people can really do to get themselves mentally ready for the AI revolution, change, evolution. What would those 2 things be?
Swan, you gave me so many difficult questions, but I think it's so good. And then you added this mentally ready. I would repeat one thing is interact with them. Because a lot of times it's like, once you start doing that, and say, oh, it's not number one, not as hard as I thought it would be. And number two, really, you don't need to, people say, wow, it's scary. Wow. Oh, it is, it's give you ridiculous things. Once you interact with it, you understand what it is. And this is so important because AI is going to be in every aspect of our daily life. So I think just to accept this, there's no matter how bad people say they're going to regulate whatever, it's going to be there, right? So I think you have to accept this and embrace it. This is the attitude, and then bring a little bit curiosity to it, to say, yeah, let's see what this thing is, how well it does. I think that helped to be playful a little bit. So
yeah, taking it more of a, instead of this thing that I'm scared of, being more, yeah, make it lighthearted.
That's number one. Number two, I personally really think is that whichever industry you already are, think ahead and think to say what sort of AI could be used here. Use your imagination, and then use that to guide your next your study, to say, hey, is anybody start doing it, is it possible in your own company you can involve in project like that, and what you can learn from the AI, or what you can teach AI, both sides, right? So I think that will help your career tremendously. And that now there's I will call every industry is going through transformation.
Yeah.
Using AI. So you want to become part of it. You want to be relevant to that instead to be sidelined. Yeah, so I think those two are two key area. The reason I can provide more specific to your industry, because I'm telling you, there's every industry, there's a whole lot of ideas people already put out there. I don't want to pretend I'm an expert on those.
Yeah, I think there's some common ones though, that I can see across every industry, and then based on, even like. I was posting something on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn said, do you want it AI generated? Of course, you have to pay for it. But, at the end of the day, it's already being offered to rewrite your post for social media. So I just find that interesting. I may have to try it just to see if I think it's better than what I do. But, hey.
I just want to say one thing, though. Think about it. I actually think this is some sort of thing, is that you got to use it the right way, in that you don't want to use it fully generated, because then it's not you.
Right.
Absolutely. You got to add to it. You say, people read that, yes, it's a Swen's. Yes. I can see.
Yeah. Right? That's my voice. So
exactly. So yeah.
Well, this hour just absolutely flew by. I'm so grateful, Xiaojing, that you were able to join in this very important conversation, and a very relevant one, and also practical.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that. Yeah. Moana, I don't know about you, but I feel like I have a lot of inputting to do.
Yeah, definitely. I really would reemphasize Xiaojing's points on using AI from a curiosity perspective. I think, there's questions that, like, sometimes I feel stupid even asking people, like, am I dumb for asking a question? But AI will, like, give you all kinds of different responses, and you can tailor it, change the response. Like, can you do this from a different, like, lens? Or you can say, put yourself like as an avatar. I'm a kid and I want to learn this. Can you give it to me in those words? Like, I kind of use that for my children's book. Like, I tend to write like more adult, but then I'm like, okay, make this more for a kid though. So I try to like see how I can use it in that way.
I love that.
And then what she said about thinking about your industry and how AI can apply to it to help you be more competitive and give you the edge that maybe is not there yet, and how to keep yourself, just a little bit ahead of the pack, and helping you to just further enhance your brand and what your company is doing. I think that's definitely all very good things to mention.
Yeah.
Yep. Alrighty, ladies. Well, thank you so much. Another great, wonderful episode for our CAPAW monthly segment. For those of you, if you have enjoyed this, please share this on your social media with your friends, whatever your best way is to reach the folks that you feel should be viewing this content, consuming it, and applying it, whether it's in their personal life or in their business life. And if you enjoy the content from our channel, be sure to subscribe to the Moana Nui podcast on YouTube. That's our main one, YouTube. And then you can enjoy our content also on your favorite podcast platforms. Just simply search Moana Nui podcast. So with that said, on behalf of Dana and myself, thank you all for joining us tonight, and we look forward to see you all in a future episode. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No regard for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if you put Hawaii in a perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No regard for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.